Hey, good evening, and welcome here to the tip at agendatruth.com, where the truth is our only agenda. Now, before we get started, I got a couple things I want to do. I'm going to shock these guys for a second. I got to give some props because I cannot do this by myself. So the first person I'll bring out is Mr. Eric Wardrop. Eric, come here, buddy. Come on out. Yeah, he's like, oh, look at this, Chris. This is embarrassing. Give Eric a hand. Eric is one of our wonderful camera guys here at the show. And I think if you look back at some of our first episodes, it was all this rockiness and zooming in and out like super speed. That was not Eric doing that. We actually brought Eric in because he knows what he's doing with the camera so that we can actually have a nice, professional, enjoyable show for you all to watch. So give Eric, thank you for coming out, buddy. No, we appreciate what you do here for us, okay? No problem. Eric's like, I wish you would have told me that. I could have like brushed my hair or something like that, right? And lastly, actually not lastly, I'm gonna bring out someone else. Mr. Michael Camacho. Mike, can you come on out for a minute? Mike's like, look at this. Yes, check out this guy. This is my dear friend, Mike Camacho, who is also the host of the show that we're gonna have coming up in the next few weeks called The Feedback.
Yeah.
Well, see how that goes? Yeah. Michael, if you've noticed that since episode 1, we finally have some lighting issues taken care of, and if you noticed, a lot of our wonderful production has kind of stepped up a little bit with all the wonderful things that pop all over the screen, and the videos, and the photos, and the stuff that turns me into a zombie or puts the orange hair on my head. That is the wonderful talent of Mr. Camacho. Now look. Yeah. None of us have had any like professional broadcasting training or education or something. I'll tell you, these guys have spent hours on their own time learning how to produce and create this stuff that makes this show and the others coming up possible, so that we can help educate you all on what's going on in the country and what we need to do to be part of the solution. So I'm very thankful for my team here. And lastly, come on, Miss Tony. She can come out here. My wonderful, lovely wife. See, here's the trick. None of these people knew that I was going to bring them on camera today. So this is great. Kim, wow, I hope you didn't pay full price for them jeans. Let me tell you.
He's on the couch tonight.
This is my wonderful wife, Kimberly Tony, who is going to be the host of Heart of America. What is your show about, Kim?
We go to small businesses and just see how they came to set up their business and just learn a little bit about them and try to help them out.
Well, that sounds exciting. I'm proud of you. Good job. Everybody give Kim a hand. Kim also, at the time, operates the wonderful script so that I don't blabber too much and turn this show into like a 5-hour episode. All right, well, we got some important stuff to share with you all today, so I just thought I would introduce the staff, the wonderful people who this is definitely a team effort. And not only are these people that came up here important, but you are just as important as well. We feel like we're on the same team here. You're going out and you're educating the people in your community. You're standing up, you're speaking out, you're making a difference. And if it wasn't for you all, we wouldn't be here, and we appreciate each and every single one of you. So what is going on in today's time? Well, let me ask you a question. Have you been stoked up about the upcoming presidential election? I bet the clear answer to that particular question is much like a bag of trail mix. I can get a lot of different responses. Well, you know, we the people have some depressing options before us this time around. And I'm going to inform you now that we are at the edge of the cliff, and we frantically have to take our country in the other direction compared to the one it is really currently going. And with both of these baboons running for office, regardless of who wins, I guarantee we will keep on moving in exactly the same direction that we've been on, and we will indeed be driven right over the cliff. The Democratic Party has made a decision to stick to their guns. Well, wait a minute. Perhaps not literally, because many of them hate guns, so allow me to rephrase myself, okay? The Democratic Party has made a decision to stick to their tulips and dandelions and stand in support of the absolute worst president in American history, and at precisely the same time, the Republican Party are determined to stand in support of the exact replica of President Obama. Wow! That is like my waitress asking me, you know, what I would like to drink, and me asking, well, what have you got? And her reply being, sir, we only serve Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Just comprehending that very nearly half the country still stands with and supports Barack Obama proves, if you ask me, just how much work we watchmen on the wall and champions for liberty have cut out for all of us. Just take into consideration the fact that you can find people still supporting Barack Obama is most likely taking lives off my entire life at this very second. I'm probably the stress of it's probably going to cause me to die at the age of 55 instead of the grand old age of 92. Something like that, right? If Americans knew their true history and also investigated their candidates, and Barack Obama in particular, then it would be concluded that he should not have attained a single vote for any political office whatsoever. I would not hire Barack Obama to handle the operations of the Scrambler ride inside my local county fair. You want to know why? Because I would probably have a bunch of mad customers. They would be complaining that the attendant was letting the children at the rear of the line cut to the front and get on because somehow it's not fair for them to have to wait in line. If he worked a game booth, he would just hand out the stuffed animals to anyone who simply looked in his direction. Now, he does not even qualify to be the assistant superintendent of groundskeeping, and with having said that, he absolutely does not have the qualifications to be the President of the United States of America, which is the greatest country this world, heck, the greatest country the entire universe has ever seen. We ask and we sing for God to bless America, and he did exactly that. And our so-called elected leaders have turned around and spit in the face of God. God will not have pity on us since it is we who keep putting such arrogant people into these positions. Now see, if President Obama had any dignity, if he had any respect for the people he claims to be a champion of, if he had any love, and I mean true love for this country, he would resign from office today, and withdraw his candidacy along with each and every person of his entire administration. In addition to that, rather than the Republicans giving we Americans an evident selection of two polar opposites, such as, over here, instead of having Team Romney, or is it over here, in this direction, over here, Team Obama, instead of having two polar opposites, the GOP made a decision to nominate the one person who is the most strikingly similar person to Barack Obama. Boy, are we set for some hope and change or what? To be perfectly honest, I don't recall an occasion in history off the top of my head when we have experienced two candidates from different parties which are so very similar. Okay. You will find, needless to say, a small number of differences despite the fact that they truly are merely cosmetic. Nevertheless, the absolute truth is we, America, are heading into the second term of the Obama agenda no matter what. It does not matter who is elected. The outcome for we the people will be the same. The mainstream media does their wonderful job of attempting to draw the lines of distinction between Obama and Romney as though they have been arch enemies, kind of like the whole Batman and Joker thing. Well, Batman would be a bad example right now, and I wouldn't. However, that is just part of the ploy. The mainstream media has been co-opted. They are part of the progressive agenda, and so are both of our candidates we now have before us to select from. Oh, but they have indeed been throwing a lot of monkey poo at each other, right? Well, do you know what? Both of you stink. Both of you. Both candidates are absolutely horrible. Both candidates play for the same team, and it's not the red team or the blue team, and it's definitely not for the We the People team. It's the green team, and I'm not referring to green energy either. Ultimately, regardless of who wins the election in November, sadly, the actual losers are going to be the American people. Republicans are increasingly being told they have no choice except to elect Mitt Romney for president because we cannot afford yet another 4 years with this Obama administration. And you know what? They are absolutely correct. They're right. We cannot afford yet another 4 years with this Obama administration. But what they do not let you know is that their candidate, Mitt Romney, will in reality provide you with 4 more years of the identical style of administration as we now have. I hate how it appears in American politics that we are always being forced to select from the lesser of two evils. Why can't we pick between the best of the best? Where'd that go? Why is always the lesser of two evils? We've been sold exactly the same bill of crap every election. We ought to elect this moronic baboon, since the other guy is definitely an ignorant moronic baboon, which is worse than simply being a moronic baboon. Well, I don't know about you, but I am getting quite fed up with this same old repeating trend. I really do think you might be fed up with it as well. That probably explains why upwards of 90 million Americans who are of voting age will not vote this year. They feel like, well, what big difference does it really make? I could vote for this guy, or I could vote for that guy. In any event, I received the same result. It really is like dining at a Mexican restaurant and taking a look at the menu and debating what you would prefer to eat. Well, guess what? It's all the same. Will I have the taco, which is a flour tortilla with some meat, some cheese, and some lettuce and tomatoes, and it's folded like this one time? Or do I want that burrito, which is a flour tortilla with some meat and cheese and tomatoes and lettuce? It's just folded twice. It's all the same stuff, right? Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but if you're the one who finds themselves firmly believing that Mitt Romney is going to change a thing with regards to the direction our country is going, I must say I believe you are going to be drastically disappointed. Now, I'm making some bold statements here, therefore I better back up my big mouth, right? Well, after this short commercial break, we will show you exactly where we are coming from. If you would like to watch the tip or the feedback or Heart of America on your television, you can go to your local Radio Shack store, or you can go to www.roku.com, and you can pick up a little device called a Roku. It actually hooks up to your television much like a DVD player. And what it does is it will sync with your internet, and it allows you to watch web-based television programs right there on your wonderful television, just like a regular TV show. There's all sorts of programs such as Netflix, where you can choose to watch movies instantly. Some of your favorite shows that you have on your typical cable or satellite television is also available in Roku. But if you would like to catch our show, you can go to the Roku channel store, go down to the section labeled Special Interest, and you'll find the Agenda Truth channel there. And our channel is absolutely free, so you can click it, subscribe to it, and watch all of our programming from the comfort of your television, which is kind of cool. It's kind of neat having our own Roku channel. So check it out. Go to www.roku.com.
Meet Roku, America's #1 box of streaming fun. Over 600 channels and counting. Go ahead, pick a movie. Binge on a TV series. Choose your sport. Fling some Angry Birds. Millions of folks watch Roku every day. You can too. Happy streaming from your friends at Roku.
Welcome back. Now, we've made some bold statements in the first section there of our show, and now we're going to show you why we think the way we do and where we're coming from. Now, here are 40 ways in which President Obama and presidential candidate Mitt Romney are a direct reflection of each other. So stand by and get ready, because what you're about to learn is going to be like, well, golly gee whiz, what do we do? 1. Barack Obama and Mitt Romney both supported TARP. You know, those wonderful money for bailing out the, too big to fail banks and corporations. Well, if they're so too big to fail, then why were they failing?
And it's the American economy that needs this rescue plan.
I think had President Bush and Secretary Paulson and Ben Bernanke not pushed for a TARP-type program, we were going to be in a free fall that would cause the collapse of not just a few banks in Wall Street, but banks all over the country, killing not only a few jobs, but all the jobs in this country. That's what we were facing, and the TARP program kept that from occurring. And fortunately, the money's now being repaid, and that's the right thing to happen. TARP got paid back, and it kept the financial system from collapsing.
So you feel it was well worth it?
Well, it was the right thing to do.
Okay.
2. Mitt Romney supported Barack Obama's economic stimulus packages.
Today, I announced a plan which I'd like to see enacted within the next 30 days to provide a stimulus to our economy on a short-term basis, as well as ignite long-term growth for the American economy.
3. Mitt Romney says that Barack Obama's bailout of the auto industry was actually his idea. So this whole bailout of the auto industry, Mitt Romney says, wasn't your idea, Obama, that was my idea that you stole from me.
Well, my own view, by the way, was that the auto companies needed to go through bankruptcy before government help. And frankly, that's finally what the president did. He finally took them through bankruptcy. That was the right course I argued for from the very beginning. The head of the AFL-CIO said, oh, this is a terrible idea. The companies can't be taken bankrupt. It turned out that I was right. They finally followed that advice, and the industry is back on its feet.
Wow, that's amazing. 4, neither candidate supports immediately balancing the federal budget. So in other words, we're going to have more budgets with those wonderful deficits that keep stacking up our debt that is enslaving our children and grandchildren. 5, they both rely on big government, and so they both have a history of being big spenders while in office. 6, Barack Obama and Mitt Romney both fully support the Federal Reserve. Now, we're about to talk a couple things about the Federal Reserve. I highly recommend that if you have not seen our episode yet titled Federal Fraud, U.S. Banking Ponzi Scheme, you need to go back and watch that episode and you will fully understand why we dislike the Federal Reserve and why it is President Obama or Mitt Romney should not be supporting them. Number 7. Barack Obama and Mitt Romney are both on record as saying that the president should not question the independence of the Federal Reserve. Keep in mind, the Federal Reserve is an independent private bank. It's as federal as Federal Express. Number 8, Barack Obama and Mitt Romney have both said that that Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke did a good job during the last financial crisis. Wow, America, do you feel better? I don't know. Number 9, Barack Obama and Mitt Romney both felt that Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke deserved to be renominated to a second term. Wow, let's just get more of the same here.
I wanted to ask you how you feel about the Federal Reserve. Think we're going to have that forever? Or?
Yes.
All righty, bye-bye.
Abolish the Federal Reserve, yes or no?
Guys. No.
What do you think of Ben Bernanke?
Well, you know, I think Ben Bernanke is a student of monetary policy.
Yeah, but the falling dollar is absolutely crucial to many of the things that ail us. You know, the consumer price index is jumping. People are furious at the rise in gasoline.
No question.
It's not all Bernanke, but a lot of it's Bernanke.
You're saying
Should the chairman of the Federal Reserve be appointed again?
You know, I think he's doing a good job.
You do?
Yes, I do.
He's a pretty skilled expert at dealing with recessions and depressions and studying how you avoid depressions.
As an expert on the causes of the Great Depression.
And he's done a pretty effective job keeping us from having a total financial meltdown.
I'm sure Ben never imagined that he would be part of a team responsible for preventing another.
Do you think he should be reappointed?
I do.
And that is why I am reappointing him to another term as chairman of the Federal Reserve.
And I think it's important to have the Fed as an independent agency.
I don't think it's good policy for the president or a president-elect to second-guess the Fed, which is an independent body.
Number 10, both candidates oppose a full audit of the Federal Reserve. Number 11, both candidates are on record as saying that U.S. Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner has done a good job.
What are your first thoughts about Geithner? Is he the right guy? Is he still the right guy?
Well, you know, when I heard about his announcement, I must admit that I was pleased. He's a person of accomplishment and skill. I think he's a very bright individual.
Well, I have complete confidence in Tim Geithner and my entire economic team. There has never been a Secretary of the Treasury, except maybe Alexander Hamilton right after the Revolutionary War, who's had to deal with the multiplicity of issues that Secretary Geithner's having to deal with.
Yes, TurboTax cheat Tim Geithner. Love that guy. Ooh, wonderful. Number 12, Barack Obama and Mitt Romney have both been big promoters of universal health care. And number 13, Mitt Romney was the one who developed the plan that Obamacare was later based upon.
I want universal coverage. I want everyone in Massachusetts and in this country to have insurance.
Now we're saying, everybody come on in.
Everybody in, nobody out. Universal health care plan. That's what I'd like to see.
We're also going to make sure people can't be denied on the basis of pre-existing illness.
It will be against the law for insurance companies to deny you coverage because of a pre-existing condition. 14, Wall Street absolutely showers both candidates with campaign contributions.
Number 15, neither candidate wants to eliminate the income tax or the IRS. And number 16, both candidates want to keep personal income tax rates at the exact same levels for the vast majority of Americans. And number 17, both candidates are open to the idea of imposing a value-added tax on the American people. So, Team Romney and Team Obama both want to keep the tax rates about the same. However, they both favor adding a value-added tax, which is going to make your tax rates go up. Number 18, Barack Obama and Mitt Romney both believe that the TSA is doing a great job. Thank you, guys. I'm glad you appreciate the person who sticks their hand up my crotch. Number 19, Barack Obama and Mitt Romney both supported the National Defense Authorization Act.
President Obama, on New Year's Eve, signed the National Defense Authorization Act. Gee, I wonder why he did it then. Obviously taking a lot of heat for it.
It seems to me the Fourth Amendment in this case has really just been thrown out the window.
Governor Romney, as president, would you have signed the National Defense Act as written?
Yes, I would have, and I do believe that it's appropriate.
Number 20, Barack Obama and Mitt Romney both supported the renewal of the Patriot Act, which is not patriotic at all.
Explain to me why you voted to reauthorize the Patriot Act, which is the worst attack on civil rights of Americans.
It's not actually true that the Patriot Act was the worst. Most of the problems that we have had in civil liberties, they were done through executive order by George W. Bush. That's actually how the worst abuses have occurred. That's what happened with Guantanamo. That's what happened with the warrantless wiretaps. That's what's happened with the suspension of habeas corpus. And I will reverse them with a stroke of a pen.
And Governor Romney, I'll start with you. You have said that the government should wiretap some mosques to keep tabs on Islamic extremists.
And make sure that if they're doing that in a mosque, in a school, at a playground, wherever it's being done, we know what's going on. We need to know about that, track them, follow them, and make sure that in every way we can, we know what they're doing and where they're doing it. And if it means we have to go into a mosque to wiretap or a church, then that's exactly where we're going to go.
Barack Obama and Mitt Romney both believe that the federal government should be able to indefinitely detain American citizens that are suspected to be terrorists. Notice, suspected. Indefinitely detain American citizens that are suspected without trial, without charge, just be able to hold them indefinitely just for having the suspicion. That is a direct violation of your constitutional right of habeas corpus. Number 22, both candidates believe that American citizens suspected of being terrorists can be killed by the president without a trial. So, no longer do you have to be found guilty by a jury of your peers. Now, if you're suspected of being a terrorist or supporting terrorism, if the President of the United States wants to authorize you to be killed, guess what? All he's got to do is take his wonderful pen that's sitting there on his desk. Probably looks a little something like this, because I know how our presidents these days love to use pens like our founding fathers, and say, and sign off on something, and before you know it, you're going to have SEAL Team 6 kicking in your door and shooting a bullet right through your eyeball, and then they're going to bury you at sea.
Lane clear! Clear!
Hold. Number 23, Barack Obama has not closed Guantanamo Bay like he promised to do, and Mitt Romney actually wants to double the number of prisoners held there. Number 24, both candidates support the practice of extraordinary rendition. That means that they're kind of fine with putting a black bag over someone's head, taking them off to some jail cell in another foreign country, and hooking up the wonderful battery with the electrodes to their nipples and seeing if they scream and start talking. Number 25, they both support the job-killing free trade agenda of the global elite. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, ever since I believe it was President Bill Clinton signed the NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement, I believe in 1992, we have seen our wonderful jobs, just like what Ross Perot said, that massive sucking sound, just leave America and go set up shop in places like China and Mexico where they can pay people like 10 cents an hour. And that way they can sell us a bunch of cheap stuff off the shelves of Walmart. Boy, don't we just all love that rollback. Number 26, they both accuse each other of shipping jobs out of the country. And guess what? Both of them are right. Number 27, both candidates are extremely soft on illegal immigration. Number 28, Neither candidate has any military experience. Any, none, zip, zippo. This is the first time that this has happened in a U.S. election since 1944. 29, both candidates earned a degree from Harvard University. So in other words, they both have these wonderful Ivy League educations from the same Ivy League school that seems to be leading our country into the same Ivy League dilemmas. Number 30, they both believe in the theory of man-made global warming. Number 31, Mitt Romney has said that he will support a cap-and-trade carbon tax scheme. Number 32, both candidates have a very long record of supporting strict gun control measures.
I support background checks for people who are going into a store or whatever and buying a weapon. I want them to have a background check to make sure.
But you stand by your support of the Brady bill.
To make sure that the crazies don't buy guns.
We can make certain that those who are mentally deranged are not getting hold of handguns.
Law-abiding private United States citizens.
Law-abiding gun owners all across America.
Violation of the Second Amendment, maybe? Number 33, both candidates have been pro-abortion most of their careers. Mitt Romney's conversion to the pro-life cause has been questioned by many. In fact, Mitt Romney has made millions of dollars on Bain Capital's investment in a company called Stericycle that incinerates aborted babies collected from family planning clinics. Now that is freaking sick. That's just disgusting, okay? Number 34, Barack Obama and Mitt Romney both believe that the Boy Scout ban on openly gay troop leaders is wrong. Number 35, they both believe that a two-state solution will bring lasting peace between the Palestinians and Israel. Number 36, both candidates have a history of nominating extremely liberal judges. Number 37, like Barack Obama, Mitt Romney also plans to add signing statements to bills when he signs them into law. Number 38, they both have a horrible record when it comes to job creation. Number 39, both candidates believe that the president has the power to take the country to war without getting the approval of the U.S. Congress. Once again, direct violation of the U.S. Constitution.
Let me turn to foreign policy. Bill Kristol, writing in the Weekly Standard this week, says we are reaching the time of consequence in our dealing with Iran on nuclear weapons. He says it is time for the president to go to the Congress and say, I want you to authorize me to be able to use military force if that becomes necessary. And he says if the president's not willing to do that, then the Congress should do it themselves. What's your take on that?
Well, I can understand the reason for his recommendation and his concern. I think he's recognized that this president has communicated in some respects that, well, he might even be more worried about Israel taking direct military action than he is about Iran becoming nuclear. That's the opinion of some who watch this. And so he wants the president to take action that shows that a nuclear Iran is unacceptable. And I believe it's important for us to communicate that. I can assure you, if I'm president, the Iranians will have no question but that I would be willing to take military action if necessary to prevent them from becoming a nuclear threat to the world. I don't believe at this stage, therefore, if I'm president, that we need to have a war powers approval or a special authorization for military force. The president has that capacity now. I understand that some in the Senate, for instance, have written letters to the president indicating you should know that a containment strategy is unacceptable. We cannot survive a course of action which would include a nuclear Iran, and we must be willing to take any and all action. They must all those actions must be on the table.
Can we get a constitutional president, please? Please, one president that will adhere to the Constitution. I think it's shocking that they take the oath of office, they lay their hand on the Bible, they raise their hand, and they swear to protect and defend and uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, but every time they possibly can, they violate the Constitution of America. That just baffles me. It's shocking. I can't comprehend it. How this can happen, and we Americans are just like, really? Come on, people. Number 40, Both candidates plan to continue running out more government debt, even though the U.S. government is already $16 trillion in debt. So, wow, thank you, Mitt Romney. Thank you, President Obama. We're going to go down the same road. Look, let's just be completely honest and cut to the chase, okay? Here's the way this is going to go. Both candidates, with the aid of the mainstream media, who we all have learned to just believe everything they say and go with what they want to do, will argue back and forth for the next couple of months about the red team versus the blue team and wage that the other team's ways are evil and certainly will destroy this country, and they're going to utilize social issues as their weapons of preference. Then once in office, they are going to indeed return to being on the Banks team, aka the green team, and certainly will make use of the power that we think we just gave them to spend and spend and spend and bail out the big business institute policies which are drafted by big bankers such as the Federal Reserve and Goldman Sachs. They're going to both engage us in wars against an infinite enemy such as, for example, terror. While we want to hunt down Al-Qaeda, but at the exact same time give weapons to Al-Qaeda, but we'll just call them rebels as an alternative and send them into Syria. Well, and on top of that, the media will divide us into two groups, while MSNBC will just spew their deception of how Republicans just hate poor people, and Fox News will spew their deception that Republicans are somehow different than Democrats. You know, on top of that, our president constantly lies. Yes, I said lies, since when you do not tell the truth, it really is called a lie. I'm not likely to be politically correct, just call it how I see it. Governor Romney constantly lies. He wants to change his stance according to who he's talking to. President Obama does not care who he is talking to. He just lies and doesn't care how obvious it is because his followers will still follow him simply because they will have a rationale of, well, at least my liar is not as bad as your liar. Oh, and don't forget, he uses a BlackBerry. President Obama wants Governor Romney to show more of his tax returns. I doubt there is any fraud there. However, it would allow President Obama to play the class warfare card of social justice and prove that Romney is just a big corporate Mongol who needs to spread the wealth around as a result of income inequality. Well, at the same time, President Obama has his college records sealed, and Romney would like to have those exposed, simply because they probably prove that President Obama was a foreign exchange student. That could explain how he could afford to attend Columbia University and Harvard. He would not have those records sealed as a result of grades. Who would really care if he made a few C's 29 years ago? Of course, he made great, if he made great grades, wouldn't you want everyone to see that? Like, look how smart I am. I was an honor roll student and on the dean's list at Columbia and Harvard University. So, Mr. President Obama, why seal your college records? And why not openly show your tax returns, Mr. Romney? And really, much more importantly, why should we, the people, really care? Is the information that either of those outcomes really likely to change anything? Those who love President Obama will still love him, and those who love Romney will still love him. The executive branch is now that of a dictatorial type of tyranny by usage of executive orders. President Bush and Vice President Cheney violated the Constitution on numerous occasions, especially with the institution of the Patriot Act that is anything but patriotic. And then Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, allowed them to do it. She allowed it and failed to hold them accountable. As a result of that, it opened the door. And because of that open door now, President Obama promised hope and change, but once taking office, it became more of a tyrant than President Bush and Vice President Cheney, and it was business as usual, only with a kick of caffeine from a few White House refrigerator Red Bulls. President Obama has signed more executive orders that strip every one of us of our basic constitutional rights and liberties than you are able to imagine and comprehend. And I question exactly how many Americans really care. Well, look on the bright side, okay? The banks will still get what they desire. The warmongers will still get what they want. And everyone who would like you dependent on the government are certain to get what they need, regardless of who wins the election. Just be sure you arrive with your pom-poms and root for either the red team or the blue team, and everything will undoubtedly be okay, right? America, listen, we must wake up. If you are already awake, that is not enough. You must go to work. You must lace up your boots and go to work and educate your fellow man. Educate your neighbors. Educate your co-workers. You've got to educate people. Point them in the direction of where they can get news that the mainstream media fails to cover. You've got to start educating your fellow man. Thomas Jefferson said, educate and inform the whole mass of the people. They are the only sure reliance for the preservation of our liberty. America requires a great awakening. We need to stop listening to the lullabies being sung by the mainstream media outlets that keep us asleep. And we need to commence listening to the pounding drum of patriotism for freedom and liberty that beats inside our very souls with a rhythm which was created and bestowed upon us by God Himself. Our fight is not over this November. You better be ready to march on. You better prepare yourself. You better remain true and become willing to continue to fight, because I tell you now, my friends, I tell you now, no matter who wins the election, we do indeed have a fight on our hands. The choice is not Team Romney, or the choice is not Team Obama. The outcome truly is Obamney. Good night, America. Thank you for watching the tape here at AgendaTruth.com, where the truth is your only agenda. We'll see you next week.